In a departure from our usual programmes, this video is a whistle-stop tour around the Winter Hill transmitter. It also includes a short story about a murder on Rivington Moor and a plane crash on the same moor. So, enjoy the video. In the meantime, some transmitter information.
Hello, my name is Martin and welcome back to another video. So, Winter Hill in winter, January to be precise. Now, I've never been this close to the transmitter before and it really is a sight to see. Now, it's quite ironic that I should be here because I spent most of the 90s searching for this thing. What are we on about? Well, I used to work for Granada Television. You remember when you used to be able to rent your televisions from Granada and Vision Hire? Well, I used to work for them. I weren't an engineer or anything, I just used to deliver the tellies, and so I used to go into people's houses and take them the new TVs, and if it was a new telly you had to sit and tune it into Winter Hill, believe it or not, coming from the Manchester area. Apart from when you went somewhere and they were on like a relay and they'd say, we're not on Winter Hill here, we're on the relay over there, and you'd have to retune the entire telly and the entire video, and then they'd turn around and say to you, oh, and we can get Yorkshire TV and Harlech, and we can get next door Sky as well. And you'd be like, anyway, that said, I'm finally here. So Winter Hill, it stands 1,015 feet tall and it's 2,500 feet above sea level. It was completed in 1966, so it's nearly as old as us lot. Now, the advantage of the tubular design is that the engineers can go up on the inside of it and avoid the adverse weather conditions that are up here. And obviously they have to go up inside it to do the maintenance. And there's 8 platforms as it goes up that they can come out on and do various maintenance work on the various aerials that span it up its length. So I'm just walking over the equivalent of a marsh. Good job I've got a stout pair of walking boots on to get a look at one of these guide wires that go into the ground. Now, there's a little fence around the area where it goes in, but we can have a quick look at it and see just what exactly is holding the pole, the tower in place. So I'm right at the base of the tower, or about as near as you can get to it, and you can see there how it's bolted together, a steel tube. And as we look up the tower, you can see the various points at which the engineers can come out from inside the tube and maintain the various dishes and various transmitters that are layered along its height. Now, I'm stood here right underneath the vast cables that hold the tower in place. And one of the dangers of standing here, probably in the middle of January, is that ice forms on the cables and there's danger of the ice falling off the cables and onto you. Now, you know when you see Winter Hill in the distance and you see it up on the hill with all the red lights shining on it? Let me just show you something quick. Okay, so there's the lights. So if we zoom in on them, zoom right in on them, and a little bit more. Now you can see that those are the lights. Okay, those are the lights that you see from a distance.
Now, as you look at the lights there, it looks like, again, the lights can detach from the inside and you can change the bulbs from the inside of the tube. Again, this idea of maintenance from inside the tube, but definitely there's a little round panel there, isn't there? And I bet that unscrews, or you can get access to the bulb on the outside of the tower from inside the tube. I still wouldn't want to climb up inside that tube, I'd still be terrified, but it beats going on the outside, doesn't it? But I reckon when you see them lights from a distance, that's the way they change the bulbs on them. Just interesting little fact for you there.
So there's not just Winter Hill transmitter up here, there are other transmitters scattered around. And Winter Hill does the television. Is that right? I'm talking to Lewis here. Lewis is the transmitter geek. He knows all about transmitters. And is it right that there's a section on on that tower there.
Yeah, so you can't see it now because it's shrouded in fog, but there's big white panel antennas at the top, and they're digital TV and radio antennas, and there's TV, analog radio and digital radio antennas all the way up and down the main structure. There's quite a lot of antennas on here. There's antennas, so there's folded dipoles which serve FM uplinks and downlinks, and there's also microwave dishes which carry all sorts of things for communications. So yeah, there's plenty going on up the length of that mast, and it changes all the time.
So there's more than just, it's not just beaming out television, it's beaming out multiple things.
Mainly television, TV, radio and analog radio.
So this beautiful structure has been beaming out that television signal since I was probably a baby, and I owe it a lifetime of education and entertainment. So I'm going to honour it in the following clip. Now, question of the day, can you name some of the more obscure theme tunes in the following clip? Comment down below.
Seeing as how this is the programme which previously brought you first television appearances from everything from the Beatles to the Buzzcocks, would you like to keep our hand in and keep you informed of the most interesting new sounds in the Northwest? This Joy Division is the most interesting new sound we've come across in the last 6 months.
On behalf of all of us working on BBC Two, this is Guy Brosnan wishing you a very happy weekend and a peaceful night. Good night to you.
Now, Winter Hill is situated on Rivington Moor, and it really is a bleak and desolate place. And what tinged it with sort of sadness is a little post, a little plaque we've found here. I'll just show it you now. So murder on Rivington Moor, and I don't know if you can read that, but what it says is, in memory of George Henderson, traveller, native of Annan, Dumfriesshire, so obviously he'd come a long way from home, who was barbarously murdered on Rivington Moor at noonday, November the 9th, 1838, in the 20th year of his age.
Now, I did look into this a little bit further, and poor old George Henderson was employed by a Mr. John Blackburn, and his job was to travel around the area delivering things, collecting payments, delivering products and things. So I suppose he was kind of like a courier, if you like. And he'd left Blackrod that morning, and he was travelling over the moor to go to Blackburn. But apparently he was robbed and shot on the moor. He was shot through the head, and his body was found at 13:45, and he died at 2:30. So maybe that's why they describe it as a horrible murder, because the poor fellow lived for 45 minutes having been shot through the head. Now, the person that was arrested for his murder was somebody called James Whittle, and they decided that the motive was possibly robbery, but James Whittle was acquitted of the murder and it remained unsolved. So there you go, poor old George Henderson just going about his daily business and his work, and was shot through the head on the moor in 1838. Now, even more tragedy on the moor. The 27th of February 1958 at 9:15 in the morning, a Silver City Airways plane. It was a charter flight carrying a group of motor traders to the Exide Battery Factory and Manchester Car Show. And they were due to land at Manchester Airport to go to the car show, but they never made it. The plane crashed into the side of a hill on Rivington Moor. Now 35 people died. The youngest was 17 years old and the oldest was 71 years old. of the survivors, there was the captain of the plane survived, the first officer and a stewardess survived. Now, so bad was the weather that day that the engineers working at the transmitter, now it's not the transmitter that's there today, it was a previous transmitter, but the engineers working on that transmitter weren't aware that a plane had crashed just a few hundred yards away from where they were working. Such was the bad weather and the tumultuous conditions. However, they did actually become aware of what had happened, and they did go out to help this and try and find the survivors and raise the alarm. And also quite a few local people were involved as well. So you can see why they built the transmitter up here on the hill. The views and the reach of the transmitter is phenomenal, almost the whole of the northwest. And I've spoken for far too long, and that's the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you very, very soon in the next video. Take care now.